Class 6, good morning. Yesterday we have completed our chapter 9, that is living organisms and their surroundings. और कीवर्ड स्टार्ट करे थे हमने 5 कीवर्ड्स लिखे थे 2-3 कीवर्ड्स रहते हैं दैट आई विल सेंड यू विद द क्वेश्चन आंसर्स रिटन फॉर्म में. आई विल सेंड यू द कीवर्ड्स. ठीक है, आज हम क्या करेंगे, आज हम चैप्टर को डीजी में समझने की कोशिश करेंगे. तो आई थिंक वी शैल स्टार्ट. रेडी नाउ? ओके, we'll start with habitat and adaptation.
Annie is off on her school picnic to the National Zoo. Let's look at Annie's experiences during her visit to the zoo and also try and answer the queries that arise in her mind. A zoo is not the natural home for animals and birds. All living organisms have a natural surrounding where they get food, water, shelter, and a suitable environment to live and reproduce. This is known as habitat. Every habitat is different. Some are hot, some cold, some are dry, and some are wet.
तो हैबिटेट डिफरेंट होते हैं, कुछ कोल्ड होते हैं, कुछ ड्राई होते हैं. ठीक है, एनी एक जू में जाती है, वहाँ पर देखती है डिफरेंट एनिमल्स को. ठीक है, तो वो ये कहती है कि अब जैसे लोयन केव में रहता है, बट लोयन तो जू में देखने को मिला उसको, तो दैट zoo is not the natural home for these animals. Is it clear?
So, animals and birds have adjusted themselves to suit the habitat they live in. They are able to do this because of changes in their body structure or behavior that allows them to survive in a particular habitat.
तो देखिए, कैमल किस तरह से अडेप्टेड है डेजर्ट्स में रहने के लिए. उसके पैडेड फीट होते हैं दैट हेल्प्स टू वॉक इट ऑन सैंड.
This is known as adaptation.
ये क्या है, हम क्या करती है, हम स्टोर करती है फूड को इन द फॉर्म ऑफ फैट्स.
Even we adapt ourselves to different surroundings in an
अडेप्टेशन क्या है, अडेप्टेशन है चेंजेस इन बॉडी स्ट्रक्चर और बिहेवियर ऑफ लिविंग ऑर्गेनिज्म दैट अलाउज देम टू सर्वाइव इन अ पर्टिकुलर हैबिtat.
environments. Can you list ways in which we adapt to different weather conditions? Click the Show Answer button to verify your answer.
Adaptations for hot weather conditions, sweating result in cooling. हमारी बॉडी से स्वेट बाहर निकलता है. आप देखते हो कि गर्मियों में कितना ज़्यादा स्वेट आता है. स्वेट क्या करता है, स्वेट हमारी बॉडी को कूल करने में हेल्प करता है. मोर इनटेक ऑफ वाटर, हॉट वेदर कंडीशंस में क्या करते हैं, हम ज़्यादा पानी लेते हैं. यूज ऑफ थिन एंड एब्जॉर्बिंग क्लोथ्स. हम वुलन क्लोथ्स क्यों नहीं पहनते, पतले कपड़े पहनते हैं जो कि एब्जॉर्ब कर सके. ठीक है, उसके बाद आता है अडेप्टेशंस फॉर कोल्ड वेदर कंडीशंस. वार्म क्लोथ्स का इस्तेमाल करते हैं. इनटेक ऑफ फूड फॉर एनर्जी और उसके बाद शिवरिंग रिजल्ट इन हीटिंग. Next comes types of habitat.
Good question, Annie. The habitat of living organisms is classified based on the surroundings they live in. If the habitat of living organisms is land, then they are said to be living in a terrestrial habitat.
तो अगर लिविंग ऑर्गेनिजम्स का हैबिटाट लैंड होता है तो उसे बोला जाता है टेरेस्ट्रियल हैबिटाट.
Examples of terrestrial habitats are forests, deserts, grasslands, and mountain regions. Similarly, if the habitat of living organisms is water, then they are said to be living in an aquatic habitat. Examples of aquatic habitat are oceans, rivers, lakes, and ponds. That's a nice catch. Apart from the living organisms in a habitat, there are the non-living things too, such as rocks, soil, air, and water. These non-living components influence the growth of the living organisms. They are known as the abiotic components. The living organisms in a habitat are known as the biotic components. Are you game for a brain teaser now? Each of these living organisms has a description. Read the description and select the correct classification of habitat. When you are done, click the Submit button to check your answer.
So you have to name that it has finally divided soft roots that absorb water and minerals from the water bed. तो ये कौन से plants होते हैं? Aquatic plants. Is it clear? उसके बाद है it is a type of fish which prefers living in sea grass beds. ऐसी फिश है ये जो कि सी ग्रास बेड्स में रहना प्रेफर करती है. तो इज इट टेरेस्ट्रियल और इक्वेटिक? तो इट इज इक्वेटिक. नेक्स्ट इज a 2-meter long lizard living in the Australian desert. Is it terrestrial habitat or aquatic? Desert is terrestrial habitat or aquatic? So this one is terrestrial habitat. उसके बाद है these are reindeers that live in grasslands. Grasslands terrestrial habitat है या फिर aquatic habitat है, ये बताना है. So that is terrestrial habitat. Is it clear? उसके बाद आता है आपका components of a habitat.
Isn't this picture looking incomplete? What is missing? This looks perfect. The picture is now complete. Our environment includes both living things and non-living things.
तो हमारे एनवायरनमेंट में दोनों रहते हैं, लिविंग थिंग्स एंड नॉन लिविंग थिंग्स, एंड दे मेक अप द एनवायरनमेंट.
All living things depend on and interact with their surroundings, which are made up of the non-living things. Another word for living is biotic. Hence, all living things, plants, animals, insects, scavengers, and even microorganisms are called the biotic components of nature. Another word for non-living is abiotic. Hence,
नॉन
all
लिविंग को
non-
और क्या कहा जाता है? नॉन लिविंग को और बोला जाता है एबायोटिक.
non-living things, sunlight, temperature, air, water, and soil, form the abiotic components of nature. Let's find out more about these components. In a given environment, living things are categorized based on how they obtain their food. Plants. Plants make or produce their own food. Hence, they are called producers.
सबको पता है कि प्लांट्स अपना खाना
But
खुद
they
बनाते
neither
हैं.
move nor have hands. So how do they make food? A green substance called chlorophyll is present in leaves. It helps the plants to prepare food and also gives color to the leaves. Along with chlorophyll, in the presence of sunlight, plants take in carbon dioxide from air and water from the soil and prepare their food. This process is known as photosynthesis.
तो प्लांट्स का फूड मेकिंग प्रोसेस इज नोन एज फोटोसिंथेसिस. इज इट क्लियर? प्लांट्स अपना खाना कैसे बनाते हैं? क्लोरोफिल की हेल्प से, क्लोरोफिल और सनलाइट की हेल्प से.
During photosynthesis, plants give out oxygen in the air. Animals. Animals cannot prepare food for themselves, but they eat or consume food. Hence, animals are called consumers. Some animals, such as the goat, elephant, and cow, depend only on plants. They are called herbivores.
तो आप सबने चैप्टर 1 में रीड कर रखा है कि हर्बीवोरस एनिमल्स कौन से होते हैं जो अपने फूड के लिए प्लांट पे डिपेंडेंट होते हैं, यानी वो सिर्फ प्लांट्स को ही खाते हैं. ठीक है, हर्बीवोरस ईट ओनली प्लांट्स.
While some, such as the lion, snake, and wolf, depend only on animals. They are called carnivores.
और कार्निवोर एनिमल्स
Some
कौन से होते हैं? जो एनिमल्स को खाते हैं, एनिमल्स का फ्लैश खाते हैं. एंड नेक्स्ट कम्स ओमनिवोर्स. ओमनिवोर्स कौन से होते हैं? जो प्लांट्स को भी खाते हैं और दूसरे एनिमल्स को भी खाते हैं.
such as dogs, raccoons, and many birds, eat both plants and other animals. They are called omnivores. Some animals eat only the remains of dead animals killed by other animals or dead from natural causes. These are known as scavengers. Yet, there are some leftovers. Where do they go? Tiny creatures that we cannot see with our eyes, such as bacteria and fungi, even earthworms and termites, are called decomposers. They deal with the leftovers of both animals and plants. As they feed on the remains of dead plants and animals, they convert them into simple substances that mix with the soil, thus sending nutrients back into the soil. They also help us in keeping our planet clean. The biotic components depend upon the abiotic components of nature. Sunlight. The sun is said to be the main source of energy. Why? Plants, directly or indirectly, are a source of food for many animals and other living creatures. But they cannot grow or prepare food for themselves without sunlight. Try keeping a plant away from sunlight for a few days. You will see that it starts to droop. Temperature. Temperature in the environment is the degree of heat of a place. It varies from place to place. Our Earth receives more sunlight near the equator, so it is hotter there, while the poles are colder. Temperature affects plants and animals. Thus, tundra regions have scanty vegetation, whereas in equatorial regions the vegetation is dense with more variety. The animals found too are diverse, depending on the plants found in each region. Air. Air is all around our planet. It contains various gases, water vapor, dust particles, and microorganisms. This is known as the atmosphere. All living things need oxygen from the air to survive. Humans and animals take in oxygen and give out carbon dioxide. Plants take up this carbon dioxide and prepare food for them. Plants in turn are eaten by other living things. Along with the heat energy, the sun emits harmful rays. How are we protected from those rays? The ozone layer in the atmosphere blocks the sun's harmful UV, or the ultraviolet rays, from falling directly on the Earth, thus protecting the living things. Water. 3/4 of the Earth's surface is covered with water. Almost 70% of the human body is made up of water. All living creatures depend on water for survival. Plants absorb water that contains minerals to make food and also promote growth. Oxygen dissolved in the water. Water vapor in the atmosphere brings rain, hail, snow mist, and dew. Soil. In any region, plants cannot grow without soil. Soil is made up of tiny sand particles and clay. Even the remains of plants and animals, known as humus, are a part of the soil. Many minerals such as magnesium, potassium, and phosphorus are found in it. Soil contains air and water and is home to many organisms, including earthworms, insects, and bacteria. Some living organisms, for instance corals, can be wrongly recognized as non-living components of the environment. Though they give the impression of being rocks, they are living things. Hence, corals are part of the biotic component of the environment. Chlorophyll helps plants to prepare food and also gives color to their leaves.
You have to tell, is it true or false that chlorophyll helps plants to prepare food and also gives color to their leaves? So is it true or false?
Correct.
So it is true.
Animals are called producers.
Animals को producers कहा जाता है? नहीं ना, false?
Correct.
एनिमल्स को क्या कहा जाता है? एनिमल्स को बोला जाता है कंज्यूमर्स.
Air in the atmosphere brings rain, hail, and snow.
So you have to tell कि air in the atmosphere brings hail, snow and rain. Is it true or false? क्लास आंसर बताइए इसका कि ये ट्रू है या फॉल्स है. ट्रू और फॉल्स.
Correct.
Water vapor in the atmosphere brings rain, hail and snow.
The remains of plants and animals in the soil is known as humus. Correct.
The remains of plants and animals in the soil is known as humus.
Take the tabs to view images illustrating the components of a habitat.
So what are the components of a habitat? That is biotic and abiotic. ये सारे आपके biotic components में आते हैं. Plants, tigers, all these comes under biotic components. Then is abiotic components. Temperature, water, sunlight, air, soil, all these comes under abiotic components. Is it clear? उसके बाद आता है टेरेस्ट्रियल हैबिटाट्स.
Annie's school is organizing a national safari to the various terrestrial habitats in the country. Let's look at Annie's experiences as she visits the various terrestrial habitats. We're now at the famous Wayanad Forest in Kerala. This forest houses a wide variety of flora and fauna. Voila! The plants in these forests have particular types of leaves called drip leaves. They do not allow water to stay on them for long. As there is a lot of water available, the plants in these regions have short, branching roots. We are now in the famous Thar Desert in Rajasthan. The common means of transport here is the camel. The body structure of the camel is very different from other animals in the forest. It has long eyelashes to protect its eyes from the sun.
कैमल्स के लॉन्ग आईलैशेस होते हैं जो उसको प्रोटेक्ट करते हैं सैंड से.
It has a hump on its back that stores fat.
हम क्या
This
करते हैं?
helps the camel be without food for days.
हम फैट को स्टोर करती है.
The broad feet help it to walk through the desert sand with ease. To suit the desert, the body of the cactus plant is structured in this manner. Food is prepared by the stem. This is the reason why the stem is green in color. To avoid loss of water through the leaves, the cactus plant has spines that prevent loss of water. are now in the Terai Duar savanna grasslands. This region receives seasonal rain. That's perfectly right. These animals have adapted themselves to the surroundings. Most of the grassland animals have the ability to run very fast, whether it is to catch prey or to protect themselves from predator. Herbivorous animals have strong teeth to chew tough grass. Carnivorous animals camouflage themselves with the surrounding while waiting for their prey. Yes, it definitely is. The baobab tree, for example, has a flexible body which prevents it from breaking during strong wind. This is one reason why the wood of this tree is used to make homes or bus shelters. The acacia tree, on the other hand, has the ability to save its leaves from the giraffe by releasing a bad-tasting chemical into the leaves, making it inedible. We are now
टेरेस्ट्रियल हैबिटाट्स में हमने डेजर्ट्स के बारे में देखा, डेजर्ट में रहने वाले एनिमल्स और प्लांट्स किस तरह से अडेप्टेड है डेजर्ट्स में रहने के लिए। आई होप आप लोगों को समझ आ गया होगा। हमने कैमल के बॉडी फीचर्स देखे कि किस तरह से वो उसकी जो बॉडी है वो डेजर्ट्स में रहने के लिए अडेप्टेड है। ठीक है, तो आई होप आप लोगों को समझ आया हैबिटाट अडेप्टेशन टेरेस्ट्रियल हैबिटाट। तो फ्रॉम टुमारो विल कंटिन्यू विद दिस, दैट इज माउंटेन रीजन। टेरेस्ट्रियल हैबिटाट के अंडर माउंटेन रीजन में हम देखेंगे कि किस तरह से एनिमल और प्लांट्स अडेप्टेड है वहाँ पर। तो आज आप लोगों का वर्क रहेगा कि आप चैप्टर रीड करना और जो भी क्वेश्चन आंसर्स और कीवर्ड्स हैं मैं आपको भेज दूँगी, आप लोग अपनी नोटबुक्स कंप्लीट कर लेना। ओके, फ्रॉम टुमारो विल स्टार्ट विद दिस टेरेस्ट्रियल हैबिटाट माउंटेन रीजन। ओके, दैट्स ऑल फॉर टुडे, थैंक यू।